How's it going, team? And welcome to the next episode of our discussion series. This is episode 12, and it's a bit of a interesting one that we're going to do. It's the gym essentials, so equipment that's essential in gyms. And we're going to branch off and do kind of commercial gyms and then PT studios stroke home gyms. What we reckon, if you only had like a small space, what could you put in there? But we'll start off with commercial gyms because it's actually one of mine and Jake's gripes with a lot of gyms, including our own. So we're going to probably discuss what is currently in our gym that we actually think is essential.
Well, yeah.
What do you think is in our gym that is actually...
Well, the list I'm going to give is going to be stuff that's not your standard, your barbells, your racks, your dumbbells. That's a given. The list of stuff I'm going to give, there's probably going to be a few, is going to be stuff that's either going to be that anyone can benefit from. That's either going to make you stronger, healthier, or a combination of the two, and more resilient to injuries, which I suppose is a combination of the two as well. Mm-hmm. So the list I'm going to give is going to be something that's going to fit that criteria, I think, and I think it's still necessities, just so you know. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. So you've probably come across in most gyms the complete standardized stuff. And then, like Jake's mentioned, barbells, racks, things like that. Then you go off to the cardio side of things, and there's cross trainers, treadmills, blah 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 blah. I actually don't rate treadmills at all. No. They've made some better versions of a treadmill quite recently. I think Techno Gym doing skill mills or wood curves and things like that.
Self-propelled stuff.
Yeah. The skill run that they've just designed, probably the best that I've run on. That's closest to a treadmill. But I don't like treadmills themselves. I'm like, if you're going to go running, then just go outside and run.
Exactly.
I know it rains from time to time, and I can appreciate that's probably when you would want to get on a treadmill, but obviously, you know our thoughts on running anyway. So, So what would be your number one if you had a gym? What would be the first bit of kit that you would buy?
Well, you could probably answer that for me. There's probably going to be two. My list is in no particular order, so you could probably say either one or two, and whatever you don't say will be the next. Will be the next thing that I say.
I'm going to go with it for Jake. It's like playing Mr. and Mrs. This, isn't it? It's like, what would be your matching answer? Yeah. I'd probably say reverse hyper is going to be on your list somewhere.
Yeah, that was going to be number one originally, but I was going to then put belt squat.
Belt squat was my second option.
Those are unbelievable.
So for people that don't know what a reverse hyper is or does, because I only came across, so I've never used a reverse hyper until last year. So, yeah.
So it's basically like a table when the weight's hanging down on like a pendulum thing, and you jump up on the table and attach your feet. So you're not on the ground. You attach your feet and you swing your legs up and back under. What it does is it stretches out your whole posterior, decompresses your spine, and it's what's called open chain. So your feet aren't on the ground, so there's no compression in your discs. Basically pulls you apart, and then you flex on the way back up. It's incredible for strength for your whole, literally, spine, erectors, lower back, glutes, hamstrings, calves, everything, because it all works in the way that your body's natural sort of locomotion does.
We'll show you that.
And it just pumps the vertebrae to get fluid and stuff in them, so it's great for rehab. And if you've got a bulging disc, that sort of stuff as well, because it literally pulls apart, it just releases everything.
Yeah. I think. I'm going to play devil's advocate. This is not what I think, by the way, but I just think of silly people, like no common sense people.
Yeah.
Now, the machine itself swings a weight around backwards and forwards.
Yeah, and you have to know how to do it effectively.
Yeah, and also people who are idiots would probably just walk behind it and hurt themselves. Get hit with a weight plate the size of their head. So. I almost think that sometimes there's a reason why you don't see something like that in a commercial gym.
Maybe.
But I'm just playing devil's advocate,
But then you could literally say that about anything.
Oh yeah.
Everything's a potential hazard then. Treadmill is just a belt
running
constantly. So how many people fly off belts?
Manage your risks, Jake. Manage your risks.
Yeah,
belt squat.
Well, because I've said one. Do you want to say one now? We'll alternate, or should I do my list first?
Oh no, you crack on.
Okay, yeah, all right. A belt squat machine.
Because I probably agree with both. Anyway, so.
In terms of restoration and what it does to your spine, a belt squat will do the same. You basically have a belt around you, because it's like a cable pulling down. It literally pulls your spine apart. It realigns your pelvis, so it's great for like any pain in your back. And there's no spinal pressure either, so you can literally train
your bar on your back.
No, exactly. So you can literally train your whole lower body much harder because there's no direct pressure onto your spine with a bar, regardless of if it's front, back, or whatever bar you're using. And it's also restoration and strength building at the same time, and they're super tough. So like it's much better than like a leg press. That's not an actual traditional squat.
Obviously, alternatives. I've seen you use cable machines with step boxes and things like that.
Or the landmine.
Yeah. It's been a while since you've done that. Well, I've seen you do that, but I don't train with you anymore.
Yeah,
so
I don't need to do that.
I have a belt squat now. I don't need it. That's just popped into my brain to use now. I'm like, oh, I might do that.
Yeah, you need a belt. You need like a dip belt.
Yeah. So I think belt squats are brilliant. Again, I've only used a belt squat machine at Jake's gym, but have done them using cable machines at the rec.
Some of them aren't necessarily a cable system. It's like a pendulum thing, like a pitch arc, which is still a belt squat machine.
Right.
But it's not necessarily a cable one. A cable one's slightly better because it literally pulls directly down. So the West Side ATP, which is what it's called, or which is their belt squat, is one, or the Rogue. So Rogue do one called the Rhino belt squat, which is a cable one as well. So they're quite big name ones. But yeah, you could find some. Some will be better than others. But it just depends on.
But I don't think I've ever seen either of those machines in a commercialised.
I wouldn't have thought
gym in the UK.
No.
I'm going to put that because I reckon they probably do turn up in certain American-based, maybe an Australian-based.
But a lot of people wouldn't even know what it does.
What they do.
It's not. You can't. It's not just for squats necessarily. You can do all sorts of stuff in it. They're amazing for training anyone, especially if you've got back problems.
Back problems, yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? So,
yeah.
A lot of people obviously suffer with putting bars on their backs and things like that. So I think that's a great alternative for so many people to use. You can
still train the lower body. You can probably train it even harder because a lot of time people's backs can't handle the loads that their lower body could anyway. Mm-hmm. So you haven't got to worry about my back's not strong enough to squat X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So I'll just use this. But they're not cheap, but they are worth paying however much.
Good for personal trainers as well.
They are,
yeah. What would be on my list? I'm a big fan of the lying leg curl.
That was going to be on mine.
So obviously leg curls are massively popular in gyms, and that's the seated leg curl. And they always be next to the leg extension. Which because they're opposite groups, but for me, the lying leg curl or a standing leg curl, which you can do on a leg extension technically.
About proper standing,
and I liked. So when I was at Unit 24 working out there, they had a individual leg curl, so you literally curled one leg and stood and curled the other, and the burn you got on that is just ridiculous. But for strengthening hamstrings, I get a much better squeeze rep when doing a lying leg curl than I do when I do a seated leg curl. I also think I'm too small sometimes for the seated leg curl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for hamstring focus, which is going to improve so many aspects of your training, deadlifts, squats, whatever, it's like a lying leg curl would be one of my top ones to be in a gym, no matter what. So
and that sort of goes on to what I was next going to say. Well, I will next now say is if it's not going to be that sort of an actual hamstring machine, it's then going to be something like a glute ham raise.
Yeah.
Or again, that sort of a Nordic hamstring curl machine, which again West Side do, which is called an inverse curl, which basically is a Nordic hamstring curl machine. But yeah, a glute ham raise, that sort of thing. Then I was going to say a lying hamstring curl as well because they're good.
Basically, we're attacking legs today.
Well, no.
legs and spine.
Well, yeah, but it's all stuff that's going to be, strength building, health and protection of joints and stuff as well. So that's important.
Definitely.
So.
I was going to switch it up and be like, what would you name things that are in gyms that are really pointless? I can name a few things in our current gym that are just take up space and are not really that effective.
There's loads of things I could say. I would just say treadmills, but I don't want to say that.
No. Well, I feel like I understand why treadmills are in gyms.
Yeah.
Because they're popular, and
I don't understand why they're in there in the quantity that they always are.
Yeah. I feel like
thinking of what's in the weights area.
You want to reduce the amount of cardio equipment these days.
And people,
or provide people with alternatives for cardio, like the sled push and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
more conditioning stuff.
Yeah, more conditioning
the rollers,
cardio.
The skiers, the assault bikes.
Yeah. And the alternatives of treadmills, I mentioned earlier, skill mills, stuff like that. So.
But they're not all shiny and glamorous with tellies, so that's the thing. That's why they get them, because they look it's all state of the art. Yeah, but it's
technology is taken over on the old treadmill cross trainer, like AMTs, whatever you want to call them, and it's about distracting you from your cardio session, and it's like
so watch telly while you walk.
Yeah, you can go out for a walk and listen to an audiobook and probably get a much more benefit for your mental health and B for your physical health.
Training,
If I'm moving on to like a smaller gym, so I wouldn't have a treadmill in a PT studio. I would have a skill mill if I'm going to do something like that, like heavy walks, heavy runs, pushing.
Yeah,
you can put your hands on it. You can do loads of other stuff to mix up your cardio session at the end of the day. But treadmills are just treadmills.
Yeah.
They've tried to try and make them really interesting by doing like workouts on them where you kick your feet out and go sideways and go backwards, and I'm like,
it's just crap.
Whoa, what's going on? So.
What are you thinking that's pointless?
In our gym, the majority of that stretch area, takes up so much. But it's basically, for those of you not seen Camberley Leisure Centre, which some of you probably have, but. There's a stretch zone called 5 Concept. Still don't know why it's called. Do you know? You were at the training. Was it called 5 Concept?
It's something to do with some bollocks about you have to do each movement and hold it for a certain amount for 5 seconds and take 5 deep breaths, and everything you did was in 5. It's like this just arbitrary shit. Like if you're doing a stretch, you hold it until it releases, or until it eases,
and then do another one, then relax, and then do it again,
and then go further. Then hold it for 5. Oh, I'm still tight, but it said 5, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so
they are a bit novelty. There's only 1 or 2 that I actually rate.
Yeah, so I would actually keep
massager
and the glute pigeon stretch. So
although the one that says chest, which isn't for your chest at all, it literally does your abs, so that's okay.
Well, I feel like you could do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have that
somewhere else,
so that's okay as well.
But your issue is that you can do those things without that gear. So you can get a foam roller. Yeah. It's a little bit harder. You can get a gun or whatever instead, rather than lying on this roller thing, which is great.
That stuff is about $3,000 each station. The massage is about $5,000. It's about
what a waste of money.
£15,000 to £17,000 worth of stuff that's just.
And you've got your pigeon stretch, stroke figure 4 stretch. Some people call it. You can do that on a box. You can do that on a chair. You could you don't need
literally do it on your own knee.
Yeah. You could sit on a chair and do it with your own knee. Like you could sit on the floor and do that stretch. That's why are we spending much money on this fad, as I'm going to call it. And it takes up probably
too much space.
And we could extend areas or put something different in it that makes it much more exciting. But I always hear kind of the membership sales team go past and it's stuff like. Cristiano Ronaldo has this in his house.
So who cares?
And it's like, okay, you're using that as a sales pitch, as a way to sell memberships. But like for us, we're like, it's just a stretchy area.
It's just a massage,
So I don't really rate them.
They're okay.
what else would I not have in the gym weights wise? Weight equipment.
I think the cable shoulder press is a bit wank.
What, there's just
the pin loaded one.
Pin loaded shoulder press. Yeah,
that's a bit shit. It's okay if you face into it the wrong way round. It actually works better that way.
I don't use it, to be fair, but much for my clients, I'm doing shoulder presses, I'm getting dumbbells out, or barbells out. Yeah.
A lot of people would say the decline bench. It's just an ego lift. There's no real point of it unless you're... Well, there are some points for it. I'm not going to go into too much, but I think, you'd be better to have, rather than having, like, we've got 2 flat and a decline, have either one of each or 2 flat and an incline. Because decline's just for guys...
I don't think I've ever used a decline bench press in my life.
It's only good for tricep extensions. So if you're letting you get such a much better range of motion.
You could probably figure that out somewhere else.
You can do that on the normal free weight benches because they go on
slightly decline as well. Yeah. So there's always way rounds to the gym itself, and like what was on our list of things to buy apart from those 3
that we've already said. Hack squat, a chest supported T-bar row type thing,
which is not a necessity technically if you've got a landmine.
They're quite good. Like a plate loaded
lat pull down.
But like a low row pull thing.
Or inverted lat pull down.
Yeah, they're quite sick.
So we're basically just listing off the list of stuff we want. We'll just send this to the company in the meantime.
To be ignored. I like how we was going on to stuff that the topic of this chat was essential kit, and then we just for the last 10 minutes just said about stuff that we don't rate.
But back to the list. But that's why I like to switch it up, because it's kind of it's called a discussion, Jake. I like to throw things in differently. You
don't want to be misleading.
Clickbait. No, like clickbait. It's like essentials for a commercial gym. Obviously, if you're trying to sell memberships, then
it's got to be stuff that's going to look good.
You do, like. I understand the fad stuff. Like, it's why power plates were so fucking popular in the beginning. If you stand on this machine, you'll lose weight. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, and that's not how Power Plate sold it either. So, but it's just basically how it got
what was
marketed.
Was it Flablos?
Flabalos.
What a load of bollocks.
That was generally in a room. At the rec, that was generally in a room.
Yeah.
That was extra cost for you to just stand on, and it said it made you lose.
For fucking fat, lazy people to stand on to seem like they're doing something in between going from Mackey's to a KFC.
Via the cafe downstairs.
Doing exercise, though, I'm standing on a jiggling plate. I mean, what?
Yeah, guys. Like, and
there's some suckers that believe this shite.
Yeah. The only time I ever used a power plate was for massage.
Yeah, people are like, oh, if you stretch on it, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
And stretching, like, anywhere I like. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to be on a shaky plate.
I'm trying to think what's in. Like, I suppose you for necessities for a gym is what's there usually. It's pin loaded stuff that keeps you in a fixed position for newbies and things like that, which you're going to need, because in commercial gyms they're usually the more, not welcoming is probably the wrong word, but more likely place that people will attend, because turning up at somewhere like where Jake trains for a newbie would be quite overwhelming, I think.
Yeah, unless you're deliberately looking for
unless that's the kind of gym that you're looking for, Whereas if you were like, no,
average Joe, I've never been in a gym before,
not a clue what you're doing, you want to go into a gym that looks safe,
that
doesn't look frightening or intimidating,
iron, loud music, chalk everywhere, fucking chains clanging around, big heavy fucking machines, and massive guys and people lifting huge weights. That's intimidating. I get that. If you're not looking for that or used to it.
Well, even in our gym, we have we have a weight plated leg press, incline leg press, and a weight plated chest press. Yeah. And the minute I take any, usually female, to them, they have a meltdown and think it's A, what the men use, and B, like, it's too big and scary that no one ever goes on it.
It's almost like you want to say, okay, we're going to go to another type of gym.
That's an essential for me. That's an essential
just for one session, so you can see what a
What is
slightly more intimidating style of gym it is, but you'll see that it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a bit rusty and cast iron.
Yeah.
The function is the same.
Oh yeah, but that, you know, it's whoever it suits at the end of the day. So, but yeah, so commercial gyms wise, completely get it. Obviously, their selling points are marketing activities. Like I've just seen David Lloyd smash out like their 6 programs. So like Blaze and Cyclone and Spirit and
so cringe.
Ignite and things like that. So
what?
Ignite's their strength. I think I read it was strength and strike, and I was like,
what does that mean?
I have no idea.
They're so cringy. I fucking hate commercial shit like that.
But yeah, so that.
But I get it. I really get it.
Yeah, you get it. It markets itself well. You know, David Lloyd are very good at their marketing campaigns, in my opinion. Like they choose the right people.
Because they've got the money to do it.
Yeah, have loads of money to do it. Whereas no offense to our company, they've kind of gone on the avenue of it's a community and everyday average Joe people do it. But I remember they did a marketing poster that was in the rec studio at the back, and it was them doing like outdoor, which is also funny because I don't think our gyms do any outdoor.
She took up the whole wall.
Took out the whole wall, and they're literally dying. Yeah. Like there's pictures of them like.
But what was funny about it is it was demonstrating a class that we don't do outside, which we don't do.
Yeah, and they're all dying, and they're like so motivating. You know, like members were like, that's just not.
It's bollocks.
That's basically me in a class. That's what they were saying. They're like, I don't want to see me on the wall. I want to see what I can be on the wall. And it's like, yeah, you know.
It's like how they've got all those things around that just says strength, core on the wall. It's like they're putting a lot of money and putting shit like that on. Like, who gives a fuck?
Gym essentials, don't put stupid stuff on the wall.
Yeah. Unless it, looks good. It isn't a lot of money.
Gym essentials, good Wi-Fi?
Yeah, no, that's not equipment though. But yeah, that is.
That's a joke. It's an essential.
Yeah.
Essentials. Obviously,
I'm going to say some sort of a decent like row machine, not a rower, like either a cable row, or a big plate loaded row, something that has
chest supported row, whatever.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I think would always be
smash the back
necessity as well. Yeah, again, big back, and you're generally strong. You know, posture type stuff as well, and healthy shoulders and whatnot. So again, I'm thinking of things that are health based as well as gain based.
I'm going to put this in inverted commas because I know you hate the term, but it has to be used. Any functional gear that you would have
I knew you were going to say the F word. Functional. We're talking strongman, yeah?
Well, I just mean things like, I think battle reps are great. Like,
they're a good conditioner.
You can utilise them in, like, you can attach them obviously to the sled. I've attached them to a core bag to be a bit lighter. Then you can lift it around. You can obviously use it as the rope itself. But I just think that's a really useful bit of kit to have in any gym. And furthermore into like a studio like environment if you're doing a PT studio.
But I think it has to be a decent sized one, not crappy little shoelaces. It's got
to be artwork. Chunky one. I think ours is probably the minimum.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it any smaller than that. I think if you can get your whole hand around it. Right.
But
and I'd say another thing would be a sled, but not a prowler sled like my little sled. I mean, that would be slightly less likely to happen in like a commercial gym. Although you can get indoor ones. They're like it's not like, I think they're actually called like magic carpet sleds because it's literally to be used inside. You just load weights on it. It's like what's the sort of material like? Well, you know what the TRX straps are made from. It's that sort of a material, but a bit more heavy duty. You can just sled drag inside. But if not, if you've got access to stuff outside, this probably goes more for like studio, outdoorsy
stuff,
unit type gyms. If you've got access to like a car park or whatever, I'd say a sled for sled drags and stuff. Again, I've done plenty of posts and videos on sled dragging. I'm not going to start explaining now the benefits of it if there's 100 videos. So just
go crack on the Instagram for the sled drag
exactly,
stuff. Any other
Those were the main ones I could think of straight away.
I think for me, when it comes to functional stuff, it just adds a little bit more fun. Is the word fun? Yeah. Fun and functional. Like more interesting conditioning training than going on a treadmill. Yeah. So your kettlebells, your core. Like, I rate core bags to teach deadlifts and cleans to people before I go onto bars and stuff like that. So it's I find them way more useful than treadmills and bikes.
But that sort of stuff also looks good to an outsider, whereas you could be just getting them on a rower, just doing some sprints or some interval stuff on it, and that doesn't look as good. Whereas if you've got them doing like a little circuit thing, I kind of hate circuits in that regard.
Giant set.
Then, whatever, then it looks better. So it's also, you can use that as like a marketing thing for you as
your personal trainer.
Yeah.
And it's more fun for the personal trainer to do that than stand with them on a treadmill.
Yeah, even though you're getting a very similar sort of thing. But
well, I think it's boring just doing treadmills and cross trainers and things like that. Whereas if you're lifting core bags or using ropes or on the prowler or whatever, then it's just way more. People on the prowler, and they do a couple of runs up and down, and they're fucked.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you would have had to do however long on the treadmill just to feel like that, unless we did a full-blown sprint. And most people don't want to do a full-blown sprint. So you transfer that over to the prowler weight, short burst, 10 metres, 20 metres, whatever, and then they're getting the same effort.
Yeah. Well, actually, I know one more thing I'm going to say. This will probably come as a surprise to you, but I'll have to justify. Would be some sort of a frame rig type thing. Not like we have, but something that's going to have, like available pull-up sort of bar attachment, things for dips, stuff for like gymnast rings, and that sort of stuff. It doesn't have to be like a big rig.
No.
It could almost literally just be like a slightly bigger squat rack thing.
Well, yeah, I don't.
But like a frame for body weight, calisthenic type stuff.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
That's what I'd probably say for like a PT studio or a home gym, is that you want a squat rack or something similar that's going to provide you with the ability to put a bar on it, the ability to have pull-ups on it, the ability to have a dip bar attached to it, a landmine attached to it.
Yeah.
And you would hit so many. Obviously the bench could go in to do
exactly,
that.
Yeah.
So if I was going to build my own PT studio, which fingers crossed, maybe one day. That's what I would have in it, because you don't have a lot of room. So if you can put it all on one bit of equipment, then
exactly
amazing. So
utilize the space as best you can.
Yeah. So then I would throw in things like, in a studio, I would have things like kettlebells, core bags, obviously your dumbbells.
What about adjustable dumbbells, if you really want to save space?
Yeah.
I don't like them. I just don't like how they look. Especially them stupid square ones. I'd hate to use those. I mean, they save a lot of space.
I think it'd be a matter of space. If you can get a rack that goes up to, like, for me and my clients, no offense to them, I'm probably the one that's actually lifting the heaviest. And so I only need up to about 24, like, max. So I probably wouldn't need that much. Whereas if I was training someone, say Jake, then I'm going to need heavier dumbbells. So that might be a case where I would just have to get weight plated dumbbells or something like that, so that I could add weight for him to be able to use. Right. But the fact is, I've never had a client that needed that, I wouldn't need it.
Yeah, so you would also sort of design it for your client base and demographic as well.
Yeah, whereas you might have to have a different view of it, because
mine would be different. Mine would be a lot more performance based.
Yeah, I think
strength based.
I would have a row of weight plates.
Yeah.
Like similar to the ones that are at Cambly. So like you can do bumper stuff, so you could do cleans and deadlifts and things like that.
Right.
Rather than heavy duty stuff. Because if it was in my own
bumper plates are a hell of a lot more expensive.
Well, yeah, but I would have to, because I'm doing a certain movements and things like that, and
I suppose,
you've got to look after your environment as well. So
that's true.
But yeah, if you told me I had to have a piece of cardio or two pieces of cardio in my studio, I'd say skier and rower and an assault bike.
Okay. Yeah.
Skier, skier I'd like as well.
Excluding a little sled.
I would have one of them like outside.
I would say probably either an assault bike or a rowing machine.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably up there as some of the most bang for your buck ones. But yeah, probably, yeah, of actual, like, you know, sort of machine type cardio equipment, it would be probably an assault bike or a rowing machine.
I do like skiers.
Yeah, they're quite. Yeah, that would be up there.
Up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Notice how we haven't said treadmill, cross trainer.
I don't know why anyone ever would.
Spin bike.
Spin bike's actually alright.
I have a spin bike already, so I can put that in there.
Yeah, but spin bikes are okay.
Yeah. I mainly have that because of price, location, space, and I'm a spin instructor, so I had to practice.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, so I think in a home gym or a PT studio, if you're really limited on space, that's kind of what I would.
Yeah, it would definitely differ if you've got home gym, garage type gym compared to if you had like a 5,000 square foot.
You're not going to be getting a reverse hyper in there probably.
Well, I don't know. You could.
Maybe a cable machine. I'd probably put in a home studio.
Oh yeah, cable machine. That's a good shout.
That's a necessity in a gym as well.
Yeah. An adjustable one.
Adjustable, yeah, not a fixed one. Yeah. So, yeah, because obviously a cable machine, you can do hundreds of exercises, all in different directions, all at different heights, hitting every single bit of your body as well.
Yeah.
And I find new exercises every day to do on cable machines. So
just messing about.
They usually come with pull-up bars as well, although I can never reach them. So it's not very helpful to me. But for you taller people, it's obviously alright. But yeah, so we'll add that one, slide that one right at the end. Yeah.
That's an honourable mention.
Honourable mention, the cable machine.
Cable machine, yeah.
Any more, sir?
I think not. I'd say that are essentials. Although I was sort of thinking of stuff that you don't typically see. Although cable machines you do typically see.
Yeah, but I'd say that's if you're making a gym yourself, commercial gym yourself, they're definitely going to get in there, aren't they?
Yeah, for
sure. Right then.
Right.
If you have any essential gym equipment that you think that should definitely be in a gym that we haven't mentioned, obviously we're not talking about the obvious stuff. As a heads up, give us a comment or DM us. If you've got any ideas for episodes, then also do that.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Cool. Cheers.
Bye.